Baseball has always been a sport keen to the senses. The smell of fresh-cut grass, the sight of sunshine illuminating a bright blue sky, and that gratifying crack of the bat. For the Colorado Rockies, the backdrop at Coors Field in Denver is perfect. About the only thing wrong this afternoon is the outcome for the home team, an 11-3 loss to the Tampa Bay Rays.
Well, Geyer's on the run. He's going to catch up to this shy of the track.
But if there's any sense that Jerry Schemmel isn't enjoying his job behind home plate, it doesn't come across in the one sense he's known for, his voice.
Swing and a miss on a slider. There's a good-looking pitch by Gonzalez-Germain. I'm doing Major League Baseball. I get to come to the ballpark every single day. To me, that's fun, whether we lose or win.
For all of the sounds of the diamond, Jerry's perspective is a sight that gives him the best view of the game. Growing up in Madison, South Dakota, Jerry was constantly involved in athletics year-round, but he gravitated toward the ballpark.
I loved to play baseball and decided that was what I was going to focus on and walked on at South Dakota State.
After 2 years at SDSU, Jerry transferred to Washburn University in Topeka, Kansas. Knowing his college career wouldn't translate to the pros, Jerry wanted to stay involved in athletics in any way possible, and decided broadcasting was the route to take.
It was doing high school football and basketball games in Topeka, Kansas, at a little country station there. I honestly made $10 a game. That was back in the early 80s, and I loved it. I thought that was a lot of money, but I enjoyed every moment of that too.
Jerry's big break came when the Topeka Sizzlers came to town. As part of the old Continental Basketball Association, Jerry called Sizzlers games for 4 years and made plenty of friends in the CBA along the way. That included Commissioner Jay Ramsdell, who wanted Jerry to help him promote the league full-time as deputy commissioner.
At the time, I wasn't really sure I wanted to give up the broadcasting, but I thought, let's just give this thing a shot. It's a great opportunity. I was very close with Jay. A new beginning for me. I was going to move to Denver and start this new career, so I gave it a shot.
July 19th, 1989. After being bumped on 4 straight flights, Jerry and Jay finally boarded United Airlines Flight 232 from Denver to Chicago. They were hoping to eventually make it to Columbus, Ohio for league business. Because of the full flight, Jerry and Jay sat in separate rows. A little more than 1 hour into the flight, Jerry heard something he didn't expect. The
first thing I thought, to give you an idea of what this first sounded like, then felt like, I thought a bomb had gone off.
One of the DC-10's 3 engines had failed. The plane's autopilot was disengaged, and its brakes were rendered useless. Captain Alfred Haynes was calm but realistic over the PA system.
At one point he said, I'm not going to kid anybody, this is going to be rough. Another time he said, you need to be ready for this crash because we are not going to land safely.
Thanks to Captain Haynes and the crew, the flight was able to circle for 45 minutes while getting all 296 people on board ready for impact.
Okay, so we have almost no controllability. Very little elevator and almost no aileron. We're controlling the turns by power.
The plane finally hit the ground in Sioux City, Iowa, at more than 250 miles per hour.
Immediately inside the plane, complete chaos. To be honest, there were bodies being thrown about as soon as we hit. Some were still strapped in their chairs. The chairs had given, and they were thrown in their chairs. And we started breaking into pieces, and fire and smoke was everywhere. And then it wasn't till we came to a halt, and I'm still hanging upside down and backwards. We stopped very suddenly because we hit the cornfield and that loose dirt, and realizing I'm hanging upside down, I'm still alive.
Jerry exited the plane into a cornfield where his section had broken off. But then he heard a baby crying and didn't think twice.
Next thing I remember, I'm back inside the wreckage on all fours over top the crying. And it turned out there was a baby buried in debris in an overhead bin, and it just grabbed her and shot out the plane the second time.
Jerry had saved infant Sabrina Michelson, who was reunited with her family shortly thereafter. But his friend Jay Ramsdell didn't make it.
I was in row 23 and Jay was in row 30, I believe, and that's about where the tail section broke off from us, and where Jay was in it, he got trapped and caught fire.
Jerry was one of 184 survivors, with little more than back pain as a result. 112 others died in the crash. After getting back to Denver and initially thinking he was lucky, the condition known as survivor's guilt washed over him.
I never saw that coming. I wanted to feel the opposite, and this guilt about not only surviving but not being seriously hurt hit me like I tell you, a ton of bricks, to be honest with you.
For the next year, Jerry battled anger and depression that affected both his personal and professional life. He quit his job at the CBA and started looking for guidance.
What's in store for me now? What am I supposed to do now that I survived this crash? And it really, for me, came back to first love, and that was broadcasting.
Jerry got a job doing play-by-play for the Minnesota Timberwolves in 1990, and then transitioned back to Colorado as the voice of the Denver Nuggets until 2010, when he took his current job in baseball. All along the way, he's been open about his experience as a motivational speaker, shaping his discussion around his survival and his faith.
I never had any kind of spiritual foundation at all, and I found Christ about a year after the crash, and that is the number one reason I think when I look at the crash and say something positive has come out of it, it's my relationship with Jesus these days is that reason, that number one reason.
That faith has been tested on numerous occasions since the crash, not the least of which came in 2008, when he learned the infant he had saved all those years ago, Sabrina Michelson, had passed away.
That hit me pretty hard, and it still does. It takes me back to the plane a lot when I think about her. She's buried in Mesa, Arizona. Spring training, I go out and visit her grave, and that brings a lot of the story back as well.
As each July 19th comes and goes, the passage of time puts Jerry further away from the crash. But the fact he's now lived nearly half his life since that fateful day makes it hard for him to imagine life without it. For better or worse, it's given him a foundation for how to live, to not take the wins and losses so seriously, to be a loving husband and father to his 2 children, and to help others across the country know just one thing: don't sit idly while life passes by.
I'm loving life. I'm enjoying life in a big, big way. If there's something more that's out there for me, that the Lord has for me, I'm going to try to do that best of my abilities.
And joined by David Brown. And obviously Jerry, when he's doing motivational speaking, has to talk about the tragedy. But in his everyday life, does it come up that much? Does he think about it a lot?
Well, when he was doing play-by-play for NBA games, he admits he didn't really think about it all that much just because of the pace of the game, the back-and-forth action. But now that he's doing baseball with all that downtime between pitches, all that downtime between innings, he says he does think about it, but says it's actually probably healthy for him instead of just compartmentalizing it all the time.
All right. And he's serious about this living life to the fullest, living the life you have, right?
Oh, absolutely. He practices what he preaches. In 2008, he actually became the head baseball coach at Metro State in Denver, said coaching was always something he wanted to try, gave that up when he couldn't find the right balance between broadcasting and coaching. But just 2 years ago, summer of 2015, he went on a 2-man bike race across America from California to Maryland. So as I said, definitely practicing what he preaches.
Nice. All right. Thanks a lot. David Brown. You can find this episode and all episodes of Midco Sports Magazine on YouTube.
This has been Midco Sports Magazine, presented by Shields and Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.